This is a classical pulley problem with two masses, but this is to be solved without writing the force equations. So no F is equal to ma. If you look at the given quantities in the problem, they are the masses and the acceleration due to gravity. By varying these quantities, we can think about an expression for the acceleration A. At certain values of these masses and gravitation, the acceleration of the mass m is a known quantity. So look for those limits where the acceleration is known, and from that you would be able to write an expression for it in terms of the masses and g. Similarly, if you look at some unique limits where the acceleration is known, from that we'd also be able to pull out an expression for the tension in the rope and also the acceleration of the center of mass of the two masses. The acceleration of the mass m will depend on the acceleration due to gravity. So you could make the acceleration due to gravity small or large and figure out how you should influence A. The second quantity to look at is the limits of the mass m where the acceleration is known. So look at m tending towards 0, or when the two masses are identical, or when one of the masses is much larger than the other. At these three special cases, you would know what the acceleration should be and thereby figure out the relationship. Also, these three cases out here are going to help you determine what is the expression for the tension and the acceleration of the center of mass. Using numerical values is a good idea because that gives you better insight. Also, don't forget to use dimensional analysis. Let us mark the upward direction as the positive direction of y-axis. In that axis, gravitation being downwards is going to be written as the magnitude of the acceleration along the negative direction of y-axis. Most of the problem we're just going to use the magnitude of g. Let's look at the g equal to 0 case. If g were to be 0, then whatever these masses are, there would be no acceleration. This acceleration would also be 0. And therefore, acceleration must be proportional to g. And that's the first thing we have deciphered. Let's now look at the case when the masses are equal. If the masses are equal, then there is going to be no acceleration. And that implies that the acceleration must be proportional to m minus m, the difference between them, or it could also be m minus m. So which one of these we need to choose? But we know that if the capital M mass was greater than the smaller m, then this object has to go up with a positive acceleration. Therefore, this is the candidate that is going to be of value. So we put together what we have up till now. A has to be proportional to m minus m into the magnitude of g. If we look at the dimensions, this is the dimensions of acceleration, which is same as the dimension of acceleration due to gravity. And therefore, the quantity that comes out here must be dimensionless. So we could have in the denominator something of dimension mass, but can it be just small m? When small m tends towards 0, if you had only small m in the denominator, this would become extremely large and diverge. Therefore, it can neither be just the small m or the large m. It must be the sum of the two of them. So that gives us the final form of the acceleration, which should look like. Let us test this for a particular case. So let's look at a case when the mass m is much larger than the small m. What do we expect? This mass being very large, it is going to come down with an acceleration that's going to be nearly g, because this object is going to be able to hold it back. Therefore, the mass m should also have an acceleration which is equal to g, but in the upward direction. So let us look at the limit of this expression when capital M is much larger than small m. If you were to rewrite it, it's going to look like. So this term is approximately 0, and therefore this is going to be nearly equal to the acceleration due to gravity in the positive direction, which is as we need it. So we're going to write the final form of the acceleration, remembering that the g vector is its modulus along minus j direction. And therefore, if we rewrite this is going to look like its own mass minus the mass of the other object divided by the sum of the masses into the g vector. How would this acceleration look for the capital M mass? So if you were to write the acceleration of the capital M mass, you would use the same expression, but the acceleration first has the mass of the object we are writing about, and therefore this would look like its own mass minus the other mass divided by the sum of the masses into the vector g. Let's check if it gives the correct answer. If this mass is extremely large compared to that mass, we need the acceleration to come out as in the direction of g. Well, we can see that out here. So this would be the dominating term, and therefore this would be a positive number along the direction g. Therefore, the acceleration would be along the direction of g. However, if this mass were to be larger, then we need this to be going opposite to the direction of g. So if that mass is larger, this would be the dominating term in the numerator, which would give a minus sign to g, and the acceleration of the capital M would be in the upward direction. So this does give the correct answer. Let us now find an expression for the tension T in the rope. The easiest case to start with is when the mass is equal to 0. If this mass was 0, then there is no gravitational pull downwards. Therefore, there can be no tension upwards. On a zero mass object, the net force has to be 0. Therefore, tension has to be 0. This is the same if the other mass was also 0. So in both the cases, you should get a 0. That can happen if T is proportional to the product of the masses. The second case we're going to look at is when the masses are equal. We know when the masses are equal, there can be no acceleration. Therefore, what is the net tension on this object? There is an mg pulling it downwards. Therefore, the tension must be equal to mg. That's the second case. Let's now try and put these two cases together. The tension, therefore, must be equal to the product of the masses into g. In the denominator, as we've seen before, we cannot have any single mass coming up. Therefore, both of them are going to come as a sum. Let's check this. So if the masses are equal, you would get a 2m from here, which would cancel out 1m. You still end up only with an mg, with a factor of 2 extra out in the denominator. We need to get rid of that, and therefore there must be a factor of 2 in the numerator. So this is an expression for the tension T in the rope. Let us now check if that is correct at this limit, where one of the mass is extremely large. So in the limit, m is much greater than m. If you were to rewrite this tension, we see that if this mass was 100 kgs and that was just 1, this number would be extremely small. So when we don't have that, the tension is approximately equal to 2 mg, as we want it to be, because the 2 mg force upwards and mg force downwards would give an acceleration of nearly g for this object, and that's what we expect at that limit. So this seems to be the perfect expression for the tension in the rope. We are now going to look at the last part of this problem, which is the acceleration of the center of mass. The center of mass lies on the line joining the centers and will be closer to the heavier object. If m is lighter of the masses, it's going to move up. But if it moves up some distance, the heavier object should also move by the same distance. And the center of mass will always lie on the line joining the two centers. And in this problem, you can see, because the distance traveled by both the masses are equal, the center of mass should go down. Let's take a concrete numerical example. Let's say the capital M is 5 kgs and the small one is 2 kgs. They're going to travel equal distances in equal time intervals, and the center of mass is going to lie on the line joining them, and that's going to move down. However, if we were to switch the value of the masses and make the small one 5 kgs and the other mass 2 kgs, this is the lighter one now, and therefore it starts to go up. Equal distances again, Therefore, by similar reasoning, the center of mass moves down. As you see, in both the cases, the center of mass is going to move down. Whichever mass is heavier, the center of mass moves down. Now, how do we write that? So, the acceleration of center of mass is proportional to the difference between the masses. It should be so, because if the masses were equal, then the system would not move and the center of mass would have no acceleration. But you can't just have an m minus m, because it would be 2 minus 5 or 5 minus 2, which is not the same. There would be a sign difference. But as you have seen, the acceleration of center of mass has to be in the downward direction. So this cannot change sign. What is the easiest method to get rid of the sign? And that would be to just square it. Then this would always be a positive number. By dimension analysis, we know that there must be a term of mass in the denominator, which has to come as the sum of the two masses. There is a square in the numerator, there must be a square in the denominator. And all of this is going to move only if there's a gravitational acceleration g, and it's in the downward direction, so it must be equal to g, and that is the expression for the acceleration of center of mass.